how do you story map an idea for television?
Well, you start with what I call the basic story map, which is things like your protagonist, your theme, your compelling crisis. Your compelling crisis is really the core concept of the core conflict of your concept. It's essentially like your log line, basically. And it has to be an engine that can continuously go and continuously generate stories. So let me give you a few examples here. So Breaking Bad, and this will kind of sound like a log line, but it's really the engine for the whole show. A mild-mannered high school teacher becomes a drug lord under the nose of his brother-in-law, a DEA agent. So that's like the core of it. And you can imagine, okay, that could generate 6 seasons, and it did. Sons of Anarchy was Hamlet and a biker gang. Okay, it was stepfather and son fight to keep a gun-running biker gang together amidst corruption, betrayals, and escalating violence. The Americans, 2 Russian sleeper agents in the 1980s, pose as the perfect suburban couple by day as they run missions by night, which ironically bring them closer as real lovers. So if you can get that engine, you're off to a great start.
So the log line, all those log lines, you have to kind of think as a writer. You're like, okay, I love the term story engine because it's mm-hmm. like, when you throw something like the Breaking Bad log line in, it just writes itself almost. Like, oh yeah, you can. There's so many stories you can bust out there, but like, oh, a boy meets girl and boy loses girl and girl, and then they get back together. That's not much of a story engine.
Yeah, and that not only is it not specific, and you want to get as specific as possible, but that suggests a closed ending. And with TV, you don't want closed endings like you do with feature films. So you want them to keep going.
Right. So Breaking Bad arguably could have gone for another 3-4 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
Comfortably.
You could just keep evading the law, basically.
But at a certain point, it wears out its welcome. Any of these cop shows like Hawaii Five-0, I think just went 9 or 10 seasons and they just stopped it. But those kind of shows are like SWAT, and I know TV shows are not really in vogue right now, but our police TV shows, procedurals are not really in vogue right now, but or like a show like Bones, which ran for 12 seasons, I think it was.
Something like that.
It just keeps. It's just you'll never end. It could never end. It's up only basically when the audience just says, we're good.
Yeah, that's what they call the case of the week, or like on X-Files, the monster of the week or the alien of the week, something like that.
But so so on those procedural shows, well, on those kind of shows, like X-Files is a great example. There is the monster of the week, but then there's also the underlining season story and then the underlining story engine of the entire series. So the entire series is the truth is out there. Mulder is trying to get the truth. So that's the engine. But that year, it's like whatever that guy was called, Cancer Man, I think he was, the guy who has smoking.
Man.
Smoke. So there's a whole season on discovering who that guy is, basically. And then after that, then there's the next big. So there's this underlining story that kind of keeps going, and they kind of dabble onto it, even when they're dealing with the monster of the week, and they kind of go back to it. Is that true?
Yeah. So in that case, you would call that a hybrid, a scripted and procedural hybrid. So not only is there the procedural case of the week, but there's ongoing arcs below it. Like with Mulder, it was related to the disappearance of his sister, and he believed that his sister was abducted by aliens. And I'm not sure, I don't think that lasted the whole, 10 seasons. Maybe that was like the first 3 or 4 or something. But that pushed it. That was the arc behind it, so it would come up every few episodes, and then as it went on, as it kind of got into the more modern era of television, it became more of a narrative scripted series where there were less of the monster of the week type of thing.
Right. I was just watching.
And that happens when just the audience gets sucked in and they want more character work. They want to learn more about the characters.
Right, as opposed to just like the monster of the week kind of deal. So like my wife and I watched all of Bones, because we're just catching up on all the shows as we're in quarantine, and there was always that one thing I forgot. I think it was that for the main character, the female, she Bones herself. It was the father or something like that, and that she could never find the bones or something something that kept her going for a long time. With Castle, it was the same thing for Beckett, the main character. Her father was killed, and she could never discover who it was, and that kept going for like 4 or 5 seasons. That show went on for like 10 seasons as well. But then you're right. After like 3 or 4 seasons, it kind of either they can't keep that going for 10 years. They'll go it for 3 or 4 years, and then they'll pick something else up. And take that and kind of keep driving the show, correct?
Yeah. Like I think it was The Blacklist on NBC. And I don't know if 4 or 5 seasons, then finally they just said, yes, he's her father. And then they went on with it from there. It wasn't as much of a mystery anymore.
Yeah. Spoiler alert by anyone who has not seen The Blacklist. I just finished watching The Blacklist, so I completely understand.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It was like that whole thing, like, is he the father? Is he the father? And we all kind of knew it was that, but then there was the other thing, like, well, what's his secret, and what is she? And now she's turning bad. Like, she's gone into this whole Breaking Bad thing in that series. Like, she's gone.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it recently. I kind of just watched the first season, so
it gets a lot better. It gets a lot.